My name's Rob Heasman. I'm from Lendlease, and I'm relatively new in my career around rail, so please be gentle with me. I've really enjoyed listening to the first two speakers, and I think there's a lot of commonality that's certainly coming out, but I've been asked to talk here from a developer's perspective about what we are going to bring to the place, which is Euston, and you can see that on the image behind me. So Euston, just out of interest, a show of hands, who on a weekly basis passes through Euston in the room? So quite a high proportion, I'd say at least 40% of people here. It's quite unusual at this stage of a project. Lendlease has been involved in Euston for approximately a year. We won the bid to support DFT and Network Rail and HS2. But at this stage of a project, and I'm an urban planner, you don't really usually look around a room and meet your customers at this kind of stage. So it's quite unusual. Usually we're thinking at the outset about how do we bring people into our sites. It might be disused railway lines or gasworks or former housing estates. But part of the challenge we usually face with is how do we actually attract people? Here we're faced with a challenge of we've actually got 40 million people passing through this station every single year, which is a challenge, but it's also a massive opportunity. So I love this image that's behind me here, because this shows an aerial picture of Euston. The closest station, mainline station to the centre of London, really is kind of walking distance right into the centre. Like Waterloo is here, which I use on a daily basis. But Euston kind of feels to me like the forgotten kind of cousin. We've got the richness of St Pancras and King's Cross that we've heard about and the good work that's gone on there down the way. But you look at Euston, you think that's a 56-acre part of Zone 1 London that pretty much is a roof. And what a fantastic opportunity and scale. We all know that intensification to deliver much needed jobs, homes, retail and all the other public services that we need should be focused around areas of fantastic public transport. And then you're faced with a challenge that is Euston, which is an operational railway station at the moment and a transport hub, or a super hub if you combine King's Cross and St Pancras as well. So our challenge is how do we connect people, places and possibilities. This is a long-term project. It's going to be 25 years and we're in year one. So there is a very much a long way to go from here. In terms of Lendlease and who we are, hopefully you can all see this. We're a global property and infrastructure company, parent company in Australia, but we have a global vision, and our global vision is to create the best places. And this applies to any project that we are taking care of across the globe. And I wanted to put this quote up here because it's actually a quote from 1973 from our founder member, Dick Dusseldorp. And it really is part of the company's DNA. It's this belief that we hold that with these long-term projects, we've got a responsibility not just to think about profit, but also to think about economics as well as the environmental and social benefits. And I think a lot of us as developers talk like this now, but I think the prevalent thing, this was written and talked publicly about the year before I was born, and that's quite a long time ago. I've just given away my age, but didn't mean to do that. So it was very much a forward-thinking organisation in this respect, and certainly the project that I just ran for 8 years in Elephant Castle, that's one of the things that really drove us to deliver real community benefits along the way. And you can see some of the breadth of the company here, some of the images from some of the projects that we have built or that we are involved with now. So I'm here to talk about Euston. So a bit of the backstory. I'm sure people in the room know this and are probably more fluent with it than I am. But it was the first intercity railway station in the UK. A little over 50 years ago, it was October this year that passed the 50th anniversary of Euston very quietly. I didn't see any ceremony going on when the Queen opened it in 1968. But that was a kind of a quantum change for Euston. But now our focus is what is going to be the future of the place, and how do we take all of the project partners on the journey with us. So it's a 22-hectare site in central London. Our role is the master development partner. It sounds like a very grand title. But really, first and foremost, we think about the place and what is going to make this place successful when you walk around it. So a bit like our experiences of St Pancras at the moment, and I completely concur with what Lord Adonis was saying about St Pancras, what are people going to experience when we walk around Euston in 5, 10, 15, 25 years' time? In terms of the scale of the development, we're working obviously with the landowners, Department for Transport and Network Rail, and the challenge is how do we create a new part of the city? So the quantum that's on the board here is about 4 million square foot of commercial space that will encompass homes, that will encompass offices, it will encompass retail, commercial uses and leisure facilities, as well as education. But the challenge is actually the land and the footprint can deliver a hell of a lot more than that, which of course takes the pressure off other parts of London as well. So we're very much at the start of the journey here. One thing I should say, this is a collective endeavour, probably like we've never seen before, to make it work and to fulfil our role, which is to maximise the economic, social, environmental benefits and ultimately deliver maximum value back to the public purse, which can be obviously reinvested in infrastructure. So the first thing we do when we come into a site is we have to understand what is in the surrounding area. And apologies, it's quite a confusing map, but this is central London. There's a lot going on. And we are just faced with an embarrassment of riches in terms of some of the institutions and some of the organisations that are already here, which is a strength. So it is got an unbelievable amount of higher education institutions, a real cluster of education facilities, but also cultural facilities, biomedical research facilities. And it doesn't take a genius to really work out that our role here at Euston is really to start connecting knowledge locally, nationally and internationally. And this is where the whole business case around high-speed rail and delivering additional capacity at Euston really starts to ring true. And you can just see the map on the board here to actually see what this looks like and the role that Euston will play in the future. So our vision for Euston is to build a community that is founded on this learning, that draws in this knowledge from this rich tapestry that is around the site in Euston, bringing creativity and exploration and grow the place that will be used by over 70 million people a year. So quite a challenge, I would say. So it's going to be a new part of the city in its own right. It will benefit from all those characteristics. There is a knowledge quarter that's been developed in King's Cross, so we see our role as growing that and creating a superconductor of these knowledge and ideas. And of course, with a master plan at this stage, we're very much looking about how it can be future-proofed and digitally enabled. But of course, all this grandiose speak is relevant to some, but it's not currently relevant to everyone. There is a social context that the station in a part has been responsible for developing, whereby the communities around it, Somerstown and Regent's Park, are very much kind of and have historically for decades been separated by this physical brute that is Euston Station. And some of the statistics here really quite confronting, to be quite frank, and these are the communities that need to come on the journey with us around Euston. So how do we make everything that I've just said contextual for the businesses that are feeling the impacts of some of the development around Euston at the moment? And that's just something we're giving a lot of attention to at the moment as we start our community engagement over the springtime. So in terms of delivering Euston, I've mentioned the landowners. There's obviously a number of different rail bodies and transport bodies that are highly important to the station. There's Crossrail 2, there's Transport for London, there's complications around how we deliver that for the future. There's taxis, buses, the Euston Road, air quality. It's a real melting pot and a real fantastic challenge that's energising us. And of course, bringing forward the programme and looking to accelerate that, I see as a key role of us as the development partner. So in terms of the master plan, we are very much at a very early stage, so you're probably used to seeing kind of blobs on a page, but we're looking at how we break down this estate, how it can be delivered in parts, how it can resonate with the communities who are feeling the impacts of this kind of large project that's coming their way. And you can see here how we're thinking about Eversholt Street, Coburg Street, a very local environment, and the master plan is you'll see coming forward over the course of the next few months. So an image that was included within our bid I thought I would share with you, kind of if you refer back to the first image I showed, which was Euston, which was a 56-acre roof in the centre of London. This very much, you can't really see a roof, you can't really see a train. It is a place, it's a new part of the city, a part of the city where people will work. If I was to be asked what would be, a real sign of success on this project, it would probably be that a child in a primary school around Euston at the moment would be a CEO of a business that's operating in one of the buildings on the Euston estate in the future. So we're setting our ambitions high. This place is going to have all the ingredients you would expect of a fantastic place. It's going to be a collective endeavour, a super connector of people, places and possibilities. And most importantly, it's going to be a game changer, not just for Camden and the local area, but for London and also the UK. Thank you very much.